Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Once upon a time, in a far off kingdom, there lived a powerful and just king named Aziz. He was loved by his people and his kingdom. King Aziz was known for his fairness, compassion, and generosity. One day, while the king was out for a walk in the marketplace, he came across a beggar sitting on the ground. The beggar was old, frail, and dressed in a tattered clothes. Despite his appearance, there was something about him that caught the king's attention. The beggar's eyes sparkled with wisdom, and his face radiated a sense of peace. The king approached the beggar and asked, "Why do you sit here, old man? Why do you not work to earn a living?" The beggar looked up at the king and smiled. "Your Majesty," he said, "I do not beg because I am lazy or because I want to take advantage of others. I beg because I have chosen to live simple life, free from the burdens of the world. I have learned that true happiness and contentment come not from wealth or material possessions, but from living in harmony with oneself and nature." The king was taken aback by the beggar's words. He had never heard anyone speak like that before. He asked the beggar, "How did you come to his realization? What made you choose this path?" Beggar thought for a moment before responding. "I was once a wealthy merchant, Your Majesty. I had all the riches and comforts that the world could offer. But despite my wealth, I was not happy. I was always worried about losing my wealth, and I was never satisfied with what I had. One day, I lost everything in a fire. I was left with nothing but amidst the ashes of my former life. I realized that I was finally free. I was free from the burdens of my wealth, and I was free to discover the true meaning of life." The king listened in the beggar's story. He was fascinated by the beggar's wisdom and insight. He asked the beggar, "What do you think is the key to happiness? What advice would you give who wants to live a fulfilling life to someone who wants to feel a fulfilling life?" The beggar smiled again. "The key to happiness, Your Majesty, is to live in the present moment. Do not dwell on the past or worry about the future. Be mindful of your thoughts. Always remember that true wealth is not measured by gold or silver, but by the relationships we build, the love we share, and the positive impact we have on the world." The king was deeply moved by the beggar's words. He realized that he had been living his life in a way that was not truly fulfilling. He had been so focused on his duties as the king that he had neglected his own happiness and well-being. Over the next few weeks, the king visited beggars several times. Each time, they would sit and talk for hours, discussing topics such as philosophy, spirituality, and the meaning of life. As the king continued to visit the beggar, he began to notice changes in himself. One day, the king decided to take a bold step. He called his advisors and ministers together and announced he would be giving up a portion of his wealth and power to benefit his people. He would use his resources to build hospitals, schools, roads, and provide food and shelter for the poor. His advisors and ministers were shocked by the king's announcement. They tried to dissuade him, arguing that they would be weakening his position and putting his kingdom at risk. As the king implemented his policies, his kingdom began to flourish. The people were happy and prosperous, and the king was loved and respected by all. The king never forgot the wise beggar who had inspired him to change his way. If you like the video, please like and subscribe.